Now, Man United fans are continuing to agonise over the club's Glazer ownership. Sheikh Jassim still wishes to purchase the club for £5 billion, Gab, but sources close to the Qatari claim that they're increasing fear over the process, how long it's taken, whether the Glazers really do want to sell. Whilst on the field, United are stuttering with one unconvincing win and a defeat to start the campaign, something that Adrian Durham rubbed in on kickoff last night.
On the face of it, Erik ten Hag looks good, okay? So the improvement is clear in Manchester United. The season before he arrived, they finished 6th, 35 points behind City. Under ten Hag last season, they finished 3rd, 14 points behind City. Clear improvement under Erik ten Hag. But then it was from a pretty low base by United standards. But here's a list of things that don't look well. They don't reflect well on Erik ten Hag. He's failed to improve Sancho. Failed to improve Anthony. He's disrespected De Gea. He's killed Maguire's United career. He's created a midfield that makes Casemiro look terrible. And now he's setting about ruining Mason Mount. So with that midfield, that he has no idea how to seemingly how to create a midfield that could be effective in Premier League games. So is Erik ten Hag actually any good?
If I just take one little piece on that, how is he ruining Mason Mount? Mason hasn't played well in 2 games.
Exactly.
How is he ruining him?
And I don't like the words failed to improve Sancho, failed to improve Anthony. When you was playing, would a manager get the blame for your poor performances? How can you fail to improve? He's coached them. Go out on the pitch. You don't want to take no one on the outside, Anthony. You cut inside and you keep doing the same things. That's not Ten Hag's fault. I'm sure Ten Hag's saying, take him on the outside.
Yeah. When you watch the telly, you're saying that, go on, get past him, get in the box. He always goes, stops, comes back inside.
I feel like these players will get coached now by these top coaches, and if they don't perform, you can't blame the manager. So I disagree with Adrian on that comment.
Yeah. Dan and Ben also, he waded into the United discussion and compared the poor form of 2 Reds wingers to another player considered a massive flop, Arsenal's Nicolas Pepe.
Pepe at Arsenal, 112 appearances, 27 goals, 21 assists. Anthony...
Sorry, hold on. Pepe's got 27 goals for Arsenal?
Yeah. Anthony and Sancho at United combined, 127 apps, 20 goals, 9 assists.
Right, but...
And you're telling me...
Erik ten Hag didn't buy Sancho?
But what, Anthony? And you were saying Pepe was the biggest flop. Well, look at his stats compared to them two.
Let's bring in someone who covers United for a living, the Guardian's Manchester football correspondent, Jamie Jackson. Morning, Jamie.
Good morning, Jamie.
Good morning, gents.
Jamie, it's been a very, very average start for United, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. After the defeat to Spurs, I sort of tweeted that they're going backwards under Ten Hag, and what I meant was at the moment. But also, part of that is I was on the US tour, when they played sort of 3 or 4 games over there. And I know it's only pre-season friendlies, but you can still get an idea of how they're playing. And it was pretty disjointed. They beat Arsenal in the first game, and then after that, they lost every game. And I don't know, I looked at that performance and kind of what you're discussing there, what Adrian touched upon, the midfield, I don't know where it is really.
Yeah.
And I hear what he's saying, Gab, about it's up to players to go out there and do, walk the talk sort of thing, that they're elite professionals. But you do wonder maybe about the buy of Anthony. He just, for a winger, surely a winger, if he hasn't got pace, then he has to be a little bit like Aaron Robben, really, who had pace, by the way, but who could cut inside and sort of not just have a shot with his left foot, but have a trick maybe. It just looks a little bit average. Now, there's still time. It's Manchester United. All these things can get sort of amplified a bit because it is United. But it's a bit of a concern because it just looked very, very mediocre. And you just wonder, and I was there, obviously, what was going on in pre-season when you see that performance against Spurs, because it was just a nothing performance, wasn't it?
He's got to mix his game up, Jamie. Gabby's right. He always comes back. He goes to take the fullback on and always comes back on his left foot and goes backwards or comes inside. He's got to mix it up. He's got to take him on the outside, inside. Do you know what I mean? Keep the fullback guessing. He doesn't do that enough.
Yeah, I mean, he just looks like he doesn't back his pace. And to be honest, you don't necessarily have to be unbelievably speedy to sort of go on the outside and get a cross in, right? Beckham did it quite a lot, for example, and he wasn't particularly fast at all. But it just looks every time, he gets the ball along the right that I don't know if I can do this. And to be saying that about a Manchester United winger, well, you wonder, kind of if he's good enough. I mean, his one trick is to cut inside and have a shot or a cross, but if he's going to do that, he has to basically score, 8 or 9 times out of 10, and he's not doing. I think he scored 3 Premier League goals when he first arrived in the first couple of games, and since then it's gone kind of like downhill. I remember Ten Hag once saying that he was asked about this kind of thing, and he said, "Well, I know Anthony from Ajax, and he likes the sort of doubters. He responds to the doubters. He sort of uses it as fuel." But again, we're not seeing too much evidence of that. And Sancho's an interesting one because you wonder, actually, what is his position? He tried him as a false 9 on the tour. He said he was going to do this. But again, he did score against Arsenal playing that position. But that was that first game of pre-season. He doesn't have loads of pace. Just looks a little bit sort of lost. We're now in his 3rd season, right, at United. You wonder when it's going to happen.
Do you think, Jamie, as well, this is the problem of Manchester United? Because I look at Arsenal, for instance, I look at Martinelli, I look at Saka, and you know what you're going to get, don't you? Week in, week out. They're going to take players on. They're going to be a threat. They can run in behind without the ball. You look at Manchester United wingers and you're like, Garnacho looks like a decent young player. Then you're looking at Sancho and Anthony, average. That's the problem. You're not going to, get the goals or assists of these players. That's going to get Manchester United back up there, fighting with Arsenal and Manchester City.
100%, Gab. I mean, I think they scored 58 Premier League goals last season, which was the lowest of the top 6. I mean, that's a paltry return, especially when you consider, how many City get. I think average is a good word for what we're talking about. Even Garnacho, I mean, he looked absolutely rocket speed last season. Lots of bravery. Did not care who was defending against him. He'd just take them on and often make mugs of defenders. But this season, again, it's very early. We've got to be a little bit careful. But I did notice it in pre-season. He looked a little bit tentative, and I don't know. I kind of felt like Ten Hag overperformed last season. Winning a cup, getting to the FA Cup final, which he lost, and finishing 3rd. And when you looked at the buys, I mean, Adrian again mentioned Harry Maguire there. I mean, what's happened to Maguire sort of going to West Ham or anywhere? They need to sell him to buy someone else. It all looks a little bit of a concern, really. And
you sorry to interrupt you, Jamie, but Maguire's got all this stick. But you look at Martinez and Varane. I mean, dearie me, they don't look great, do they?
Well, you go back to that first game, Jamie, the Wolves game, right?
Yes.
I keep talking about it was like Dortmund that were playing. The Wolves are all over them. They looked second best to the ball. They looked a yard slow. They didn't look fit enough. And I'm like, is that just lack of confidence, or have they undercooked themselves, or have they done too much pre-season? I couldn't work it out.
Exactly, it was a mystery, and this is what I'm getting at. That performance versus Wolves was kind of what I saw, in San Diego, Las Vegas, Houston, where they played the sort of 3 games after the Arsenal one, which is in New Jersey. You just looked in and thought, what has happened? What's happening? They got out of jail a little bit, didn't they, against the Wolves, really? The Varane header, to win that game. Okay, there's the old thing about winning when you're not playing particularly well, but they sort of, it's a little bit lucky, a little bit scrappy, and then you go to the Spurs performance, and it's kind of similar. How many X Factor footballers do Manchester United have? How many of that team would get anywhere near City's squad? That's how I like to measure it. Fernandes, yes, and then you're kind of struggling a little bit.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Alan Brazil. Thursday and Friday morning, 6 till 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.